Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Lane Hoffert. Council has been officially sworn in for the border city, but municipal operations have still continued on with the creation of the Working Housing Group. This collaborative initiative brings together a number of highly regarded community members looking to make more of a change to the unhoused population in the city.
And certainly the housing working group will be a group of individuals very close to the individuals seeking housing, working in the industry from that perspective. And that input will be very critical to the community to give us the best information possible.
Some of the key members include the executive directors of both Residence and Recovery and the Lloyd Men's Shelter, as well as the CFO of Spark Foundation of Lloydminster.
But we have people in the community that are very close to the working needs of the community from a housing perspective, and that will provide some great detail to council to be able to make great decisions and inform the provincial and federal government about the needs of our community for those that are in need.
The 9-person group will collaborate with the City of Lloydminster, but all decisions are made solely by committee members. A Women in Agriculture conference was held in Lloydminster today. I have more on the event and the women who spoke at it. Many women gathered today at the Lloyd X for the first annual Emerge Women in Agriculture conference. The event featured a panel of women from different agricultural backgrounds sharing their experiences and answering questions.
Kelly Sidoric and Tara Weaver, who, as most people know, holds the Inspiring Women's Conference every year. So it was their first, what will become an annual conference, celebrating women in the agriculture industry, which I think is super important and something I'm really passionate about.
The women attended the conference to learn more about the agriculture industry with other women who share the same passion for agriculture. They believe great things can happen when women gather in the same room.
Well, as women, we do like to gather and we like to celebrate together, and I think it's always fun to come together to have a day of learning, a day of support, and a day of getting to see your neighbors.
So far it's been a terrific day, great turnout, and yeah, nice to be able to support each other, with our common interest in agriculture. And whether it's men or women in the room, it's always good to get together and share experiences and learn together and grow together.
Lots of women who are in the agriculture industry have to balance the work they do with other aspects of life, like raising a family and possibly another career. The conference gives these women a chance to have a day for themselves where they can talk to others with shared experiences.
Well, we can hash out those conversations that are really important to us, and sometimes it's really difficult because women especially, we have so much that we have to balance, especially if we have a farm and then maybe we have an off-farm job and then our families and then your livestock. So being able to take some time for ourselves, which I don't think we do enough, to be able to have that is really nice. And then
Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News. According to a release from the Saskatchewan RCMP, the number of police-reported intimate partner and family violence cases has increased by 13% over the past 5 years. Abby St. John spoke with Spark Foundation Lloydminster to get more on why the numbers have increased.
I'm very happy to be joined here today by Angela Rooks-Trutzik, the CEO of Spark Foundation Lloydminster. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, this is a very sensitive topic that we're going to be talking about today, but the Saskatchewan RCMP recently sent out a report, and it showed that there were higher rates of police-reported intimate partner and family violence in 2023 in the province. It was one of the highest, and they said that the calls have increased over 13% over the last 5 years. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what intimate partner violence or family violence looks or sounds like that could cause these numbers to increase?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I want to point out that it's police reported incidents. And most domestic violence or family violence doesn't get reported to police until there's been like 7 or 8 incidents. And some studies will show up to 45 incidents. So there's varying amounts of situations that have to happen before our RCMP are called in. So if you were to take a scan of the country, just self-reported incidents of family violence, you would see the numbers grow exponentially. And, domestic violence or interpersonal violence is really about power control and specifically coercive control. And it's yes, can happen quickly, it can happen unexpectedly, and it's a major safety issue across the country.
Yes, for sure. And, seeing these numbers increase, in the report, it said that the calls for intimate partner violence was 813 of per 100,000 population, and then family violence was 890 per 100,000 population. And looking at those numbers and seeing that they have increased a lot, and even that 13% over 5 years, it is scary to look at those numbers. But then you also have to take a step back and think that means more people are coming forward comparatively to 5 years ago when those numbers were lower. So what does that mean? People are coming forward and they're speaking out about this. What does that mean for this awful situation?
Yeah, I think the numbers are hopeful. Which is weird to say when you're talking about domestic violence. However, the more people that come forward, the better it is for not only those survivors of violence, but for the community, because this is a community issue, not an individual issue. And I think that's important for people to remember is that this is happening in our communities. Yes, it's happening behind closed doors most of the time, but these are members of our community and they're unsafe. And it's important for us to remember and do what we can to help those that are impacted by violence. What we see in our shelters is similar to what is being reported. We are seeing an increase of calls to our shelter, requests for admission to our shelter, and we've seen an increase in occupancy. So what is being reported is happening across the province and happening right here in Lloydminster.
Yes, and it's fantastic that we do have resources like Spark Foundation to facilitate those victims and those survivors coming forward and taking those next steps. Now, some people who are victims of this violence, they sometimes they feel like they don't have any other support, whether that's familiar support or just have a circle that they could go to. So it can be kind of scary and almost like they're stuck in that situation and they can't get out of. So what are some steps that they can take to ensure that they do get out safely and it doesn't escalate to something even more serious?
First and foremost, we say if you're in danger, call 911. Safety is paramount. Your safety is number one. So don't be afraid to reach out to RCMP, and they are there to help you. So if you are immediately in danger, call 911. If you are able to, call into our crisis line, and trained staff are there to answer the phone and speak to you and help guide you through what your next steps are, whether that is coming into shelter or receiving community-based supports. We have many, many supports in our community, in particular at the Spark Foundation, to support those that are fleeing.
Wonderful. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on that I may have missed regarding this subject?
Well, November is actually Family Violence Prevention Month, so it's a really unique time to be talking about family violence. So this segment couldn't come at a better time, and we just ask that people really reflect on their relationships and on their ability to support those that need help in their relationships. Every small little bit counts, and it starts with education, learning about the issue of domestic violence, learning about what community resources are in your community for that issue, and not being afraid to reach out to people when you are in need.
Wonderful. Well, it's always great talking with you, Angela. The Spark Foundation is a fantastic resource, and it continues to be in this community. So thank you for joining me and shedding your expertise on this subject. It is really helpful hearing what you have to say about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
The Taylor Swift Eras Tour is wrapping up in Canada. A former Lloydminster resident was lucky enough to get tickets to shows in both Toronto and Vancouver. Stacey Comer spoke with her to find out more about her experience.
Well, the Taylor Swift experience is something that unfortunately not many of us get to experience, but I am speaking to a former Lloydminster resident who gets to go see the Eras Tour not once, but twice. Taylor Steinwant is here, currently living in Stony Plain, but from Lloydminster originally. Taylor, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So you have two chances to see Taylor. You've already been to the experience in Toronto. You also have tickets for Vancouver, which is fantastic. So let's talk about the Toronto show first. What was that like? From what I could see in Toronto, the whole city was basically supporting her everywhere that you went. You couldn't get away from Taylor Swift. So how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. I love how the whole weekend was so Taylor Swift immersive. It wasn't just a show, it was, you got to meet Swifties right from when you landed to right when you took off, and every single activity in between.
And I know she makes the show basically not just an event, but it's like a whole culture with the friendship
Mhm.
bracelets and trading and that sort of thing. So were you part
Yeah.
of that, making the bracelets and trading them as well?
Of course, yeah. I actually have my friendship bracelets here with me. This is just a handful of them. And yeah, so I started trading friendship bracelets right in the airport. And like I said, every activity. So we went to Casa Loma and I traded bracelets there all the way up until we left.
And now you took your mom to the show in Toronto. So how was that for her? Did she was she quite excited about that as well?
Yeah, so me and my mom, we've been going to the Taylor Swift concerts together ever since the Speak Now tour. And so it was really special to me that she was able to come just because it's something special that we share together. And we did matching outfits and we made friendship bracelets together and just really did the whole experience.
Is it quite unique to be there too? And does it feel, especially now at this point where she's gotten so big in her career, that it's
Mhm.
almost surreal to be at this event because there's, so many people and you're all just the same mindset? And do you almost, when you're watching the show, kind of feel like it's really hard to believe that you're there and being able to see this, like I said, not once but twice?
Yeah, it does feel surreal. You just have to take a moment to step back and just look around. She does this thing during the show where everybody has a bracelet, and there's certain times during the show that everybody's bracelet is lit up, and it's just kind of crazy to look around and believe you're part of that experience.
What was your favorite part of the show from Toronto?
Oh, that's really hard. I always love listening to All Too Well 10-minute version, but she does this certain segment of surprise songs, and the surprise song I really wanted was Peter, and she sang it. And I don't know how she knew, but she did.
And what was
So,
it like getting access? I saw some people saying that you really had to go super early in order if you wanted to get in. Did you find that getting into
mhm.
the show in Toronto that there was a bit of a process, I guess?
Yeah, so we showed up around 4 o'clock, right when the doors opened, and there were lineups around every entrance. I found that getting into the venue wasn't too bad, but specific merchandise, like the blue crew neck, goes really, really fast. And even though I was there during right when the doors opened, we still couldn't get it. So, yeah.
And now you head to Vancouver for the next show. Who are you taking to that show? And what are you expecting maybe to be a little bit different in Vancouver? Or do you think it'll be quite similar to the Toronto experience?
Yeah, so I'm going with my best friend and my sister. My sister's Jordan, she's also from Lloydminster, and then my friend Mackenzie, she still lives there. I'm thinking that the show is going to be very similar. I think that the experiences around and what the city's doing is going to be different, but I think that the show itself, the energy, the trading friendship bracelets, the people, I think it's all going to be very similar.
Now, unfortunately, we've seen some news recently where people are getting scammed out of Taylor Swift tickets. And, a lot of these younger girls, you can just see them, their hearts are broken because they expected to go. So, what did you do to make sure that your tickets were secure for both of the shows?
So we just make sure that our passwords are changed every so often. We check on our tickets, and I really like that Ticketmaster made the option that tickets are secure in your account until 3 days before the show and you can't transfer them.
Oh, so going to Vancouver, if you had to pick something and you want her to sing the ultimate song at the Vancouver show, Taylor, what would you hope for at that show?
That's a really hard one. I love them all. She already sings my favorites. Oh, there's so many. You're on Your Own, Kid, probably because it inspired the friendship bracelets, the line in there, and I think it would be really cool to see that live.
And will you also be getting dressed up specifically, in something for this show, something different than what you wore in Toronto, or are you going with the same thing?
So I'm going to be wearing something different. In Toronto, we went Speak Now era, and then in Vancouver, I'm going to go Reputation era. So a little bit more black. I have snake tights, things like that.
Well, Taylor, I really appreciate you speaking with me today, and it's so exciting that you get to see both shows in Canada. Not a lot of people get to do that. So enjoy the next show in Vancouver, and thank you again so much for speaking with me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I was so excited about this.
That's all for news. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The 3A SAA Volleyball Provincials got underway today at Holy Rosary High School. Our Jackson Fontaine has more.
Today we've got Barnett playing against.
Volleyball teams from all over Alberta piled into the Holy Rosary High School to kick off their volleyball provincial championships. A big weekend for the athletes and a chance to bring home the big prize.
Oh, we are so excited to welcome 11 other teams here to Lloydminster today. This is the first time we have hosted a volleyball provincials in many, many years. So we're very excited to be able to showcase the talents of all of our athletes that are here today, but especially our Holy Rosary senior boys volleyball team.
Before the tournament got going, the opening ceremonies took place first. This saw all the teams be introduced and some fun minute-to-win-it games to test the athletes. This included the best breakdancer as well. The Raiders and their fans are excited for a great weekend of volleyball.
Yeah, we've been doing pretty good. Felt like the fellas have been feeling pretty good throughout all the tournaments. Doing pretty good, having lots of fun, so it's good.
After the opening speeches and some fun activities, it was finally time to hit the court. The first game saw the hometown Holy Rosary Raiders take on the team from Barrhead. The team from Lloyd is hoping to bring the championship home, but are just very happy to be hosting the event.
Oh, we are so lucky. It's always awesome to have the home court advantage, but also the way that our staff, our students, the parents, our community has stepped up to host. We're really looking forward to a great 3 days of volleyball here.
Very fortunate. It'll be a lot of fun.
The tournament will continue the next 2 days with the championship game tabbed for Saturday night. Jackson Fontaine, Primetime, Local News.
Onion Lake Cree Nation is hosting a charity hockey game for National Aboriginal Addiction Awareness Week with some special hockey celebrities playing in the game. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today I'm joined by Kyle Dillon, the Executive Director of the Onion Lake Cree Nation, and he is here today to talk about the Onion Lake charity hockey game that they're going to be hosting this upcoming weekend. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem.
And how long have you been running a charity hockey game, and what is the money raised for?
So basically every year we like to have Gnaw Week is what we call it in Onion Lake. And I know it's a Canadian thing because I've seen it before in the past, but this one is more of a National Aboriginal Addiction Awareness Week. So what we try to bring to the community is positive Aboriginal influencers. And in this case, we're hosting a charity game on Sunday, November 24th, which includes special guests like Theo Fleury, John Morasti, and Harlan Kingfisher.
And how exciting is it to have Theo Fleury, John Morasti, and Harlan Kingfisher as guests for this upcoming charity hockey game?
There's no better person to bring in terms of Mr. Fleury. He came over his addictions, and it's just positive influence for our members, young and old. So I think he'll bring a lot that day. So what he'll do is he's going to come in and take part of the hockey game itself, and he'll be coming in again later that week, to come do a presentation for the community members. And as for John Morasti, like I said, just positive influencers. I know he's really big right now, being one of the gyms on Sorsey, so he'll be a good guy to have over there. And then another positive influencer in Mr. Kingfisher, like Smudge the Blades. It just brings a positive vibe for our community, just in terms of, motivation for our youth and just exploring all those opportunities that are out there for sure.
And with this game, you guys are also celebrating the 1999 Onion Lake Hawks. Tell me a little bit about that team and how exciting it is to have them be playing in this game.
Our Junior B Hockey Club began the season of 98 to 99. So technically this is year 26, but since we're still in the 25th year, we wanted to honor our inaugural team. So we actually rounded up the original roster. And so yeah, we're just having a fun charity game. We're gonna have those guys come down. They're gonna play our local our rec team, and the special guests will be playing with the rec team, which are called the Onion Rings. So it's just a fun game to get the community together and yeah, just have some positive vibes there.
Finally, Kyle, when and where is this game going to be taking place?
By all means, everybody's welcomed in and around the community. The game is on Sunday, November 24th, 5 p.m. at the Onion Lake Memorial Communiplex in Onion Lake, Saskatchewan. Yeah, like I said, there's no admission. Everyone's welcome. There's going to be games, prizes, presentations, pregame, and yeah, it'll be a fun day.
Thank you so much for all the information today, Kyle, and we look forward to a great charity hockey game coming up this weekend.
Now let's take a look at your pets of the day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
That's all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks for watching.